Hi. Okay. So today I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about food, but I want to talk about fear. Fear of food. So if you're like me and you've tried every diet out there, at some point, and you still persist with symptoms, at some point you develop literally a fear of food, okay? So I know some of you who are watching may not be quite there yet, and other people who have been through everything are gonna, like, this is gonna resonate with you, and you are gonna be like, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. Okay, so for me, I'll just talk about me. For me, when you start out and you do all these different diets, right? So you do paleo, you do keto, you do raw vegan, you do, all these different types of foods. And if you've kind of got any kind of autoimmune symptoms, you eventually will try something like the autoimmune protocol, which is a paleo version. And at some point, you start to become fearful of almost every food that there is. So for starters, I have this binder here, right? This is my binder that I go through. This is my list of all my bad foods. You can see the red ones. I won't read them to you, but the red ones that are lit up are my IgG food sensitivities, right? And a lot of people's are similar, but it will say things like, it says milk and it says casein and yeast and wheat and barley and corn and a lot of things that are common for people. But then it goes on to say like celery or sunflower seeds or, a fruit like a plum or anything like this, raspberries, all these things. And you start to become like, I cannot eat those. I literally cannot eat those. I'm sensitive to those foods. I need to stay away. So that's fine. So if you get your IgG list, and this is a valid diet, and this is a valid concern, and this is valid everything. You make a list. These are the foods that my body's reacting to, and the theory is that it's producing antibodies in your body when you eat these foods, and your body's getting confused, and then it starts to attack itself. That's the theory. Of how food sensitivities form from a leaky gut. They get out into the gut somehow and the body mistakes them. It sends in an army to kill them, and then you develop a food sensitivity to that, right? So if you're keeping those out of your diet, then there's the standard ones that everyone should keep out, or that most people are sensitive to, that people have found over the years that these are causing people problem. So we have dairy, right? So we go off dairy, and eggs. Right? So sometimes if you're on the ketogenic diet or a paleo diet, eggs are like amazing because the yolks in them have so many nutrients and benefits. But if you're talking about autoimmune or if you're talking about anything else, then you're saying the proteins from the eggs cause tons and tons of food sensitivities. Same with the casein and dairy, and you can't tolerate them, right? They're not good for you. They're going to cause reactions, pain, and different kinds of reactions in your body. So then you're going to go get rid of those. Gluten. So now you're going to get rid of gluten, and then if you take it one step further, you're going to get rid of all grains. So now we're down to no grains. You're going to get rid of soy because of the estrogenic properties in it. You're going to get rid of rice because it's a grain, and a lot of people, it's a common allergen, and because of the arsenic in rice. So you're going to get rid of rice, and then you're going to get rid of certain nuts that are legumes like cashews and peanuts. You're going to get rid of yeast because even though it has super great B vitamins, there's histamine reactions that can happen. And if you are vegan or raw vegan or anything like that, you're going to get rid of meat because you're going to think it's the devil. Even the grass-fed kind, you're going to get rid of fish because of all the pollution in the ocean and the mercury. And then you're going to get rid of things like peas and beans and nuts, some of the nuts, because they have a high lectin content. And depending on what diet you're on, you're either all for oils and eating a ton of like olive oil or coconut oil, or you're totally against oils and you're getting rid of oils, okay? So these are things that people start to become paranoid about, right? And then you can take it one step further. So if you're taking it even one step further, you start to be afraid of nightshades. If you have an autoimmune condition, nightshades are going to flare you and give you tons of pain, right? So these are tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, peppers, You will be, you probably, and you might have done a lectin avoidance diet. So you're going to cut out all legumes because they all contain lectins. You're going to cut out most nuts unless they've been soaked in, but you're going to cut them out. You're going to cut out seeds, nuts, all beans, lectins from different foods. I mean, they're in all kinds of things, from cucumbers to squash to everything, right? You're going to start to avoid all of these. You might be afraid of, if you've even gone a step further and that diet hasn't worked for you, then you're going to start to worry about sulfur and thiols. So, and anything that could have a goitrogen effect. So we're going to start to be afraid of things like kale, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, onions, garlic, asparagus. The list goes on and on. All of cabbage, all of these foods that contain sulfur and thiols and goitrogens and all these things. Now you're going to cut those out of your diet. And of course, you're going to start to worry about sugar. So if you've probably already cut sugar, white sugar, and that's great. But now you're going to become paranoid about fruit, apples, peaches, papayas, bananas. Oh my God, you're going to develop a fear of bananas. Anything with a high sugar content, grapes, whatever, you're going to think that this is going to hurt you, because anything with a high glycemic index, or, you know, people say that, well, sugar is fructose and the sugar in fruit is the same thing. So you're just causing your body to spike, and you're going to become insulin resistant, and therefore, it's going to throw off everything and all your metabolism in your body, so you can't eat sugar. Now you're afraid of sugar, except for, you know, the odd thing like olive or avocado or half a green apple or very low glycemic fruits, right? And then starch. Oh my gosh, so sweet potatoes and yuccas and all these really starchy foods you're going to be afraid of, because they're going to feed bad bugs and candida, and all these bad pathogens are going to feed on the starch. And even though it's confusing, because you think, you know, well, maybe they're feeding the good bacteria, if you've ever done GAPS or you've ever had SIBO, you're going to say, no, they're going to be feeding in the small intestine, and it's going to feed all the bugs, therefore I got to get rid of all starch. I never have starch again, right? Which includes rice, it includes potatoes, it includes all these starchy foods. So that's where I am most days, right? So then I say, okay, well, what's left to eat? Literally nothing, right? Except, and of course you've just, like, let's take processed food off the table. So and dried fruit, you don't want dry fruit. So because you want to avoid things with, like, you're probably going to be afraid of histamines as well. So now we're taking away a whole nother group of foods, like, you know, bananas, if you haven't already taken them away, or strawberries, things with histamines. Now we're getting rid of our probiotic rich foods and our sauerkrauts and any kind of apple cider vinegar, anything that could cause a histamine reaction, we're also afraid of. So this is kind of what I'm going with. And then if you are like me and you've gone even crazier down the list, you'll start to look at food families. So I have a whole Bible here on food families that I look at. So, oh, okay, well, my food sensitivity test showed me that I'm sensitive to raspberries. Therefore, I'm going to cut out anything in the raspberry family. So I look up what's in the raspberry family. Blackberries, loganberries, black raspberries, purple raspberries, strawberries, dewberries. Okay, so they're all gone, because if I'm sensitive to one, I'm going to be sensitive to another. Oh, I happen to be sensitive on my food sensitivity test to sunflower seeds. So therefore, that comes from the composite family. So I'm going to get rid of